Today, boys and girls, we're going to be talking about frequency separation. Now, I know you're probably thinking that sounds really scary and technical, but don't worry, it's actually really simple, and I promise the payoff from understanding this is huge. Hey man, I'm just a guitarist, man. Why should I know all this technical stuff, man? Even if you're a musician, a vocalist, a songwriter, producer, mixing engineer, this is really essential stuff, and I promise I'm going to explain why this is useful stuff for you to know. The frequencies are what makes up any sound or any piece of music. And to make it really easy to understand, I want you to imagine frequencies like colors. So picture a sunset. If I wanted to paint a sunset, I'm going to use all these pretty colors like reds, blues, yellows, pinks. But if I just chuck all these colors together on the canvas without, planning it out or painting them separately, you get this ugly mush of like brown on the canvas. The same thing happens with music. If you don't understand what to do with these different frequencies, then you get that same messy mush of sound. Instead, what we want to do is learn how to separate the different frequencies that make up any kind of music or any kind of sound, and that helps us to make better music. So the main visual representation of frequencies is usually what's called an EQ or an equalizer. And there's only 4 main frequencies that we're going to be looking at today. That's lows, low mids, high mids, and high. And the visual representation of it is from this point, everything on the left is lows, everything in between these 2 points are low mids, everything in between these 2 points are high mids, and everything onwards to the right from here are your highs. And to illustrate what I'm talking about today, I'm going to be using a song just to make it clear, easy, simple to understand. Let's check it out. Simple stuff, pretty straightforward. I'm using live band instrumentation, but the same principles that we covered today apply on any kind of music like hip hop or R&B or whatever. So very simple instrumentation. I've got 1 drum, okay, 1 bass, a piano, which is slightly on the left, a guitar, and a vocal. This is a song. And everything together. So first off, lows. What we're going to do is listen to this same pace of music, and I'm going to solo or play just the lows for you to understand what belongs in the low box, right? So same piece of music, and now just the lows. What you hear in this is the kick drum, or some people call it the bass drum, and the bass guitar. Now there's one other element that usually belongs in the lows. So I've changed the drum beat here. What the drum is doing is listen to just the lows. So you notice you can hear the toms as well. So what's in the lows? We only have kick, bass, and toms. In the lows, the king is the kick drum or the bass drum. For live music, I usually have my kick drum as the main element in my lows, and then followed by the bass. All right? Makes sense? Let's move on to low mids. Now it gets a little busier. We've got more stuff happening. So you still hear the drums and the bass, right? But prior to this, we only heard the kick drum. Now we hear the snare as well, really clearly. And lots of other new instruments coming into the mix. We've got the piano. We hear the guitar as well, but it's not so clear, right? The main thing that you notice is the piano. And you can still hear the vocals, the words. So that's your low mids. You've got a little bit of the drums, mainly the snare is the new thing. You've got the bass as well, and it's really important here. And you've got your keys and your guitars and vocals. So lots of elements in the low mid box. Your instrument that is playing lower is the king here. So for example, if I'm a pianist and I'm playing like further to the left of my piano, that's the low mids. If I go further to the right, that's more of the high mids and the highs. Same thing applies to a guitarist. If I'm a guitarist and I'm playing like lower down the fretboard, that's more low mids and lows. The further up the fretboard I go, the more I have high mids and highs. Let's listen to the song again and check out which instrument has more low mids. Piano on the left side, it sounds pretty low, and the guitar. Guitar sounds like he's playing pretty high up the fretboard, right? So the piano is the king right now for the low mid. Why? Because the keyboard is playing more low mid stuff. Lower down the keys, alright? Hey man, I'm just a vocalist, man. You said this is important for me, man. Not to worry, vocalist, I didn't forget about you. The lower down your range you sing, or if I speak, this introduces a lot more low mids and lows in my voice. And the higher up I go, the more high mids and highs I have in my voice. The same thing applies to singing. So this is really important information for you as a vocalist as well to consider where your melody is sitting. Alright, let's move on to high mids. But before that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hello, I am our sponsors. But really my heart in doing this is to share anything and everything I know with as many people as possible for free. However, if you'd like to contribute to this or if you'd like to sponsor anything, check out the links below. High mids. And just the high mids. The immediate thing that jumps out is the vocals, right? So quick side note about high mids, like this is the sound of my voice in a normal conversation. If you listen to the sound of my voice in a phone call, it probably sounds closer to this. This is a song, right? And the same thing is true if you listen to any piece of music or you listen to a podcast or something on your phone speakers. The main frequencies that you hear are high mids and highs, a little bit of highs as well. And the reason for this is the human ear naturally gravitates towards high mids. This is the frequency that we focus on the most, and this is the frequency that contains most of the information that we need to understand someone. So what's the point here? High mids are always really important for vocals. If you're listening to any piece of music, the king in the high mid box is always vocals. So you'll notice we've got a lot of the same elements that we heard in the low mid box. We've still got our keys, our piano, we've still got the guitars, and we've got vocals as well. You don't really hear much of the drums anymore. You don't really hear much of the bass anymore. When we listen to the high mids, we should hear more of the guitars than the piano. Let's check out if that's true. And to make it easier to hear, I'm gonna mute the vocals. There you go. The guitar is nice and clear, whereas when you listen to the low mids, you didn't hear too much of the guitar. Here the guitar is really obvious, so that's the main element that takes up your focus. You still hear the piano, the keys, because there is some high mid information there, but there's lots more high mid information in the guitar because the guitarist is playing higher up. Make sense? And lastly, we're going to look at the highs. Just the highs. So now the drums come back in. You can hear the drums again, but there are specific elements that are the most obvious parts in the drums. Let's check it out. You've got the hats, the hi-hats, and the cymbals. The main elements of the drum kit that are here in the highs are the hi-hats, the ride cymbal of the drummers using it, and the cymbals. Okay, what else do we hear? We can also hear the rest of the drum kit again. The kick, the snare, or specifically the sound of the sticks hitting the drum skins or the kick beater hitting the kick drum skin. These are called drum transients or attack, and it's what gives the drums presence in a mix. Okay, what else do we hear? You can hear the guitar as well. But immediately notice that whatever information in the guitars that you hear isn't really pleasant. It kind of sounds like noise. If it's too much, it sounds like an angry swarm of mosquitoes even. Nothing very pleasant there. So not very important information. What about the vocals? We can also make out the vocals pretty clearly. So definitely vocals are important, but let's solo the vocals just to make it really easy to hear. So the one element that really stands out in the vocals is the This is a song. All the S's, the T's, the K's, the C's, the P's, the SH, all of these sounds are what stand out in the highs. This is called sibilance, but it's just a technical word that means these sounds. So sibilance, all these high sounds in the vocals are really, really important. If you don't have enough highs in a vocal, it becomes really hard to understand. So this is what it sounds like if I'm speaking and you take out all the highs out of my voice. You can still hear the sound of my voice, but it's hard to understand me and it kind of sounds like I have a lisp. The sibilance from the vocals is the king in the highs. If in doubt, remember vocals is always king. It's like the same thing we talked about for high mids. The human voice is always the most important element in any piece of music or sound because as human beings, we naturally gravitate to the sound of a human voice because that's how we communicate with each other, that's how we speak to each other. So now we understand frequency separation. Pretty simple, right? We just have lows, low mids, high mids, and highs. In the next video, we're going to talk about why frequency separation is necessary info. I'm a vocalist. You told me to watch this, man. Why do I need to know this? That's where the good stuff is coming. But if you want to know more about this or if there's anything I sort of touched quickly in this video and you want me to cover in more detail in a future video, let me know in the comments below. If this was helpful, if you got anything out of this, like and subscribe and all the other stuff that YouTubers say. Thanks for watching. I'm John O. See you guys next time.